हेलो गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल फाइनेंशियल विद सचिन रितारे। और आज मैं आपके साथ चैप्टर नंबर 6 शेयर करने जा रहा हूँ फ्रॉम द बुक द पावर ऑफ हैबिट, वाई वी डू व्हाट वी डू एंड हाउ टू चेंज, रिटन बाय चार्ल्स ड्यूइग। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। So guys, let's start. The title of the chapter number 6 is The Power of a Crisis, How Leaders Create Habits Through Accidents and Design. The patient was already unconscious when he was wheeled into the operating room at Rudy's Island Hospital. His jaw was slack, his eyes closed, and the top of the intubation tube peaked above his lips. As the nurse hooked him up to the machine that would force air into his lungs during surgery, one of his arms slipped off the gurney. The skin molted with liver spots. The man was 86-year-old and 3 days earlier had fallen at home. Afterwards, he had trouble staying awake and answering questions, and so eventually his wife called an ambulance. In the emergency room, a doctor asked him what happened, but the man kept nodding off in the middle of his sentence. A scan of his head revealed why. The fall had slammed his brain against his skull, causing what's known as subdural hematoma. Blood was pooling within the left portion of his cranium, pushing against the delicate folds of tissue inside his skull. The fluid had been building for almost 72 hours, and those parts of the brain that controlled his breathing and heart were beginning to falter. Unless the blood was drained, the man would die. At that time, Rhodes Island Hospital was one of the nation's leading medical institutions, the main teaching hospital for Brown University, and the only level 1 trauma center in southeastern New England. Inside the tall brick and glass building, physicians had pioneered cutting-edge medical techniques, including the use of ultrasound waves to destroy tumor inside a patient's body. In 2002, the National Coalition on Health Care rated the hospital intensive care unit as one of the finest in the country. But by the time the elderly patient arrived, Rhodes Island Hospital also had another reputation, a place riven by internal tensions. There was a deep simmering enmities between nurses and physicians. In 2000, the nurses' union had voted to strike against complaining that they were being forced to work dangerously long hours. More than 300 of them stood outside the hospital with signs reading "Stop Slavery" and "They can't take away our pride." This place can be awful. One nurse recalled telling a reporter, "The doctor can make you feel like you are worthless, like you are disposable, like you should be thankful to pick up after them." Administrators eventually agreed to limit nurse mandatory overtime, but tension continued to rise. A few years later, a surgeon was preparing for a routine abdominal operation when a nurse called for a timeout. Such pauses are standard procedures at most hospitals, a way for doctors and staff to make sure mistakes are avoided. The nursing staff at Rhodes Island Hospital was insistent on timeouts, particularly since a surgeon had accidentally removed the tonsils of a girl who was supposed to have eye surgery. Timeouts were supposed to catch such errors before they occurred. At the abdominal surgery, when the OR nurse asked the team to gather around the patient for a timeout and to discuss their plan, the doctor headed for the doors. "Why don't you lead this?" the surgeon told the nurse. "I am going to step outside for a call. Knock when you are ready." "You're supposed to be here for this, doctor," she replied. "You can handle it," the surgeon said as he walked towards the door. "Doctor, I don't feel this is appropriate." The doctor stopped and looked at her. If I want your damn opinion, I will ask for it," he said. "Don't ever question my authority again. If you can't do your job, get the hell out of my OR." The nurse led the time out, retrieved the doctors a few minutes later, and the procedure occurred without complications. She never contradicted a physician again and never said anything when other safety policies were ignored. Some doctors were fine and some were monsters. One nurse who worked at Rhodes Island Hospital in mid 2000 told me. We came in the glass factory because it felt like everything and crashed down at and could crash down at any minute. To deal with these tensions, the staff had developed informal rules, habit unique to that institution, that helped avoid the most obvious conflicts. Nurses, for instance, always double check the order of error prone physicians and quietly make sure that correct doses were entered. They took an extra time to write clearly on patient's chart, lest a hasty surgeon make the wrong cut. One nurse told me that they developed a system of color codes to warn one another. We put doctor's name in different colors on the whiteboard. She said blue meant nice, red meant jerk, and black meant whatever you don't contradict them or they will take your head off. Rhodes Island Hospital was a place filled with corrosive culture, unlike at Aloka, where carefully designed keystone habits surrounding workers safely had created larger and larger successes. Inside Rhodes Island Hospital, habits emerged on the fly among nurses, seeking to offset physicians' arrogance. The hospital routines weren't carefully thought out, just as choosing the right keystone habits can create amazing change, the wrong ones can create disaster. And when the habits within Rhodes Island were imploded, they caused terrible mistake. सो गाइस कभी ये समझाने की कोशिश करें कि आपको हमेशा अपनी हैबिट्स है ढंग की रखनी चाहिए. यू शुड ऑलवेज अडॉप्ट गुड हैबिट्स, नॉट बैड ones. If you like this, then please like and subscribe. Thank you.